It's an intriguing Big Ten season for sure, and it gets sorted out to a certain extent, but also becomes a little bit more intriguing as we go. Welcome into the Voice of College Football, the Big Ten Live Show. Corey Bratta right next to me. You can catch him on a regular basis, of course, at From the Hawkeye of the Storm, covering Iowa football and Iowa athletics. This is the Big Ten Live Show. We'll leave the link there in the chat. You can give us a call talking everything Big Ten football. Hey, Corey, how are you?
I'm doing good. We've got, I'm going to fix your issue here, Mark. I see you looking at it. I'm going to fix it right now. Corey, your IT guy is on it. Don't worry. I see you looking over there. But yeah, so I'm doing good. UCLA, they're in the mix for the Big Ten championship game.
Yes, I told Corey we have to talk about this because so much focus goes to Ohio State and Indiana, and that may be the Big Ten championship game, of course. That's becoming more and more probable. Oregon's got a loss, and they would have to work themselves past Indiana, of course, in a head-to-head tie situation because they lost that game at Autzen Stadium. But look at the list of, and I think I tweeted this out. I did when I was doing through my top 25 that actually makes sense, and saw 5 and 2 Big Ten teams. Okay, there are 8 of them, 8 teams in the Big Ten that are 5 and 2. And the majority of those teams, I think all of them, have one loss. Yes, have one loss in the Big Ten. So we've got a glut of 3 and 1 teams.
That's not totally true. You got
there's got to be. I was trying to figure out who would not.
Yeah, Washington, Nebraska, Illinois all have 2 losses in the conference.
Okay, because they won their out of conference games. So
Iowa and Minnesota will take care of one of those teams, right? One team will have an extra loss after this week, and there's one other game, right?
I'm sure there is. We'll call up the schedule here in a second, but I did want to bring light to, because we probably won't be able to have this fun type conversation very long, because I really don't think they're that good. But UCLA and Northwestern are both 3 and 1 in the Big Ten.
Man, wouldn't it be cool to see UCLA beat Indiana this week? And I want to say this right now. I'm going to say there's probably some of the Indiana people out there that will really resent this comment, but I think it would be just beautiful if the week after Curt Cignetti is given this massive extension and massive buyout, if their team just starts losing. Sort of like I know it was a little bit more delayed with Mel Tucker at Michigan State, but I think we can both agree that was a little reactionary, what happened with Mel at MSU and, of course, at the scandal. But this is a hot UCLA team coming to town. Now, I don't think they're going to beat Indiana. I think Indiana will probably win that game easily. But wouldn't that be something if Skipper goes up, takes his team up to Bloomington, and they knock off the Hoosiers at home? Wouldn't that be something?
I checked out. I couldn't wait to get to it, but this has become a habit of mine over the last several years when I do this late night post-game show and do the call-in. And I'm not on any longer than you are at this point. I used to, I was up till 4 o'clock in the morning, taking calls, doing 4 and 5 hour shows. No more of that business. I'm at 90 minutes and out the door. And then I tune you on and you're still going strong. But I listen to you guys, and then I love to go through these highlight packages of all the games that I couldn't see. And I always I always veer toward kind of the oddball games. I don't automatically just go, I just want to see Georgia and Ole Miss, or, some top 10 matchup. I like to catch some of the other games. And I was fascinated to watch Maryland and UCLA at the Rose Bowl. And one thing that I noticed was they have all the people, probably regardless of what seat you got, they just encourage you just to go to the bottom of the bowl, because all the people are at the bottom of the bowl, and the top of the bowl all the way around is empty.
Yeah.
But UCLA won 20-17 on a walk-off field goal. Maryland, again, classic Maryland. If they blow a third straight game with it, they had a double-digit lead in the fourth quarter. They did it against Washington and whoever the next team was, Nebraska. But I'm watching these highlights, and we get to a point, there's 3.5 minutes left in the game, and UCLA still only has 7 points. And I'm like, how did they get to 20?
How did they get to 20?
It was fascinating. They threw a bomb and then they got a pick immediately, and then they couldn't move it, so they kicked a field goal, and Maryland even scored another touchdown, but then UCLA drives down for the game-winning field goal.
Do you think Michael Locksley will be on the hot seat at the end of the year?
I think he should be.
It's just the same thing every year.
That is coaching. Not, if we took just a microcosm of teams blowing games in a 4-game stretch or something, yeah, we could dissect that. But when this is a recurring thing, number one, throughout the season, as you've pointed out, that Maryland gets off to these hot starts, first of all, because of their scheduling, but also it also has to do that they usually get off to a decent Big Ten start, and then they fade. But then they also fade during the course of games. Now, is the strength and conditioning not good enough? Is it game management that falters? Is it the other team making adjustments at halftime that Maryland is not able to counter? It has to be those things after 6-7 years of this.
Yeah, exactly. And if they don't make a change, that just tells me they're content with being that type of a program that's going to be hovering around 6-6 every single year. You know who the biggest, I don't want to say dark horse, because I think they're a fraud, probably, but the team that has just gone about their business the quietest of anybody is Northwestern.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, what a weird situation. You look up the standings. I haven't watched a single snap of Northwestern football this year, Mark. There's too many teams. I mean, this is a Big Ten show, but you and I can't sit and watch. I mean, you watch as much as you can, and I know you try to watch a condensed version, but I'll be honest, I haven't watched a single snap from Northwestern, and I need to start because they're 5-2, 3-1 in the conference. I mean, imagine if they beat Nebraska this weekend. They're 4-1 in the league. I wouldn't be totally shocked if they did, because Nebraska proved this past weekend they are still not this team that's going to dominate even the lesser teams in the league. I had my doubts about Minnesota. I know we got a caller from Minnesota here wants to hop in here, and Iowa plays Minnesota this weekend, but I had my doubts about Minnesota prior to this past weekend, and they go out and really impress, which I think is good for Iowa because it wakes everybody up, and they're not going to be caught off guard or take anybody for granted. I don't think Iowa teams do that in general, but yeah, how can you?
They don't.
Well, you shouldn't.
This is Minnesota Dave joining us, everyone.
Minnesota Dave. Can you sing the Minnesota fight song for us, Minnesota Dave?
Minnesota, hats off to thee. To thy colors we shall ever be. We're firm and strong and united are we. Rah, 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 rah. Ski-U-Ma, hats off to you of them.
See, there you go, Mark.
What an N-E-S-O-T-A. Minnesota. Minnesota. Yay, Gophers. Ross.
What happens, Mark, when this stream gets demonetized because of copyright infringement? Because
I'm going to be coming after. Well, I wouldn't come after Minnesota Dave because he's certainly supplied his fair share of super chats. So
yeah,
we're good to go. We're fine.
Minnesota Dave, what do you think? What do you think? Combine your. I heard your take from. I was watching Mark's show, so I think I heard you talk about your team's win over Nebraska last week. But I by the way, I listened to PJ yesterday. Just your thoughts on the Gophers sitting at 2 losses on the year?
Well, I mean, I'm just hoping that maybe Cal's a lot better than what we thought they were, but I really don't really. I mean, the Cal loss was the more surprising loss of all of them, but
what a weird loss. It wasn't even that they lost to Cal. It's that Cal then came back and got their doors blown off by San Diego State, who, by the way, San Diego State, turns out they're not all that bad, but San Diego State, you remember that, Mark, they lost to Wazoo.
Yeah.
They lost by 23 to Wazoo. And Wazoo actually has recovered somewhat.
Yeah, the Mount West Conference is having a down year this year.
Yeah, well, Wazoo's 3-4. Technically, they're still in the Pac-12, right, Mark?
Yeah,
technically, yes. It's
technically
a 2-team conference. They should play a conference championship game. at the end of the year.
I agree. So do we, Mark, not to change the subject, but do we know where Wazoo's going next year?
Pac-12. The Pac-12 gets added on more teams.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
okay.
they're scarfing up the Mountain West.
All of them?
Yeah, they're taking half the Mountain West.
They're getting like at least 6 of them, yes, to get to.
And then the Mountain West is adding Northern Illinois and who else?
No one else.
Yeah, it's a Big Ten show.
All right.
Minnesota Dave, are you confident?
Yes, I actually am. I'm actually feeling very confident after the way we handle Nebraska. But do I think that Nebraska is Iowa? No, not at all. Not at all.
Huh.
But I feel very confident. And, it's hard to win at Kinnick, but it's not a night game. So that's a plus. That's a huge plus for us. We don't have to play at Kinnick at night. And PJ said it's one of the hardest places to win.
Yeah. I mean, but it's going to be dark in the fourth quarter.
Well, hopefully we're up by like 27 by that time.
Do you really think they could go into Iowa and beat them badly? Look at this. Wow, he's actually pausing, Mark. Minnesota Dave actually thinks there's a chance they come into Iowa City and rout them.
Minnesota Dave is not like a big home. He's a big homer. He loves his team, but he's not like arrogant. Like we're really great. He doesn't.
What are you basing this hesitation you have, Dave? What are you basing that confidence on?
I'm basing this confidence is just the way we have been playing and the way we have been playing after one game. Now, don't get me wrong. We looked really bad against Rutgers and really bad against Purdue. And the one thing I do worry about is if the way the Purdue quarterback was able to take off when it was avoiding sacks and being able to take off and gain yardage. Well,
you heard me last hour, Mark. You heard me last hour, Dave, talk about Gronowski and his ability to run.
Yes, Gronowski and his ability to run. I watched highlights of Iowa games. He's very capable. And Mark, I will have to say I have to agree with Corey. Who gives a shit if this is a throwing touchdown or a freaking rushing touchdown?
That's not my point.
It is your point. It should be your point. Not. Okay, explain your point again. Let's just go over this one more time.
Okay. In terms of winning the football game, I totally agree. You don't care if your quarterback scored 4 touchdowns on the ground or through the air. It's 4 touchdowns. They count the same. However, if you are evaluating the quarterback as a passer, then yes, if you tell me somebody's 0 TDs and 4 picks against power conference competition, that's not real good. And I understand your point that when you're running the ball, it takes away from your passing statistics or vice versa. I get that. But no touchdowns and 4 interceptions is still not a good statistic for a decent passer.
Okay. I see. But yeah, I just don't care as long as you get in the end zone. But here's the thing. Here's the thing that I'm going to say about this. We have to contain him from stopping the run, stopping their quarterback from running the ball, and make him pass the ball. Our offense, I would say is better than Iowa's. Not by much, though, but it's not like Iowa's total trash as you have been in the past. They were better than they were. But the teams that they have played and, put up these points are teams that most people are going to be putting up these points against.
Okay. What does that mean?
I don't know what the hell that means. I just went with it.
As you see, Minnesota Dave gets his steps in during the call.
Oh man, I appreciate your honesty there. That's just phenomenal.
What I want to know, Minnesota Dave, is you were running down the Rutgers game. We look like this, the Purdue game. How in the world did you let that ragtag bunch from Columbus, Ohio? How did they beat Minnesota? How did that happen?
By 40.
They're Ohio State and we're Minnesota.
Okay. I'm just kidding with you.
You know,
For a second, actually,
hey, Mark,
I only
hey,
went to
Mark.
that because I was thinking, who did they lose to? They're 3-1. Who did that? Oh, yeah. That's right. I did watch that. Yes.
Hey, Mark. At least we scored first.
Yes. It
That's
was
all.
3-0.
Yes,
It's 3-0.
it's a moral victory.
Yeah, I will say this real quick. I do need to hop off of here, Mark, but I will say this real quickly about Minnesota. I think they're well coached. I say that every year because I got a lot of respect for PJ as a coach. I think he's a good disciplined coach, and that's one thing that they talked about during his weekly press conference is that how he has modeled a lot of his like coaching philosophy around how Kirk has built Iowa, culture, ground up, etc. They're different personalities. They have different ways of motivating. But I have no doubt they're going to come ready to go. I'd be shocked if they look not ready to go. Like if this past week for Minnesota was a emotional high and they suffer. They do get an extra day to prepare. They played Friday. I don't know if that'll make a difference. But there is going to be, I would be surprised if they don't, although it is Kirk. I'd be surprised if they don't, if it doesn't, the fair catch that was controversial 2 years ago doesn't get brought up in the locker room. And it should, whether you agree with the call, don't agree with the call, make those, if you're an Iowa guy, make those fans, or excuse me, make those players believe that Iowa got killed, they got screwed, they got cheated, and that they got to go win this for the fans, for obviously the trophy, for Cooper. To me, that's the type of motivation Kirk's got to tap into.
Well, they did it last year. They killed Minnesota last year.
But they haven't played at home since that happened. And I'm just saying they may have used that as motivation last year. Use it again this year. The last time Minnesota came in here, they stole our trophy. They stole it, Mark. Those crooks.
I had plenty of bacon that day. Plenty of bacon.
Are you a big bacon eating guy, Dave? Do you eat a lot of bacon?
I like bacon. I used to like it so much to the point where I got gout from it. So,
ooh.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know that was possible.
Yeah, you eat a lot of red meat and you eat a lot of pork. You eat a lot of like shellfish. It's basically not good if you constantly eat it. And I was eating a lot of red meat and a lot of pork, and it caught up to me. So yeah, I've been basically eating a lot more like chicken and stuff like that. I'm able to like eat red meat and like pork, but it's once in a while. Once every 2 weeks, I'm able to do it as long as I keep it low. That's pretty much it.
By the way, real quick, Mike in the chat says, is Iowa going to get an offense sometime this century? They are top 35 in rush offense out of 130-some teams. So, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
Obviously, they were even better last year with Caleb. So, I mean, if you want to just make fun of the pass offense, fine. But when you talk about just offense, the rush offense is half of that. And they are pretty darn good, given the fact that it's always going to be complementary to its defense. So,
all right, Corey. Appreciate you being here, man.
Hey,
all right, Mark. Dave.
Just 1 second, Corey. Are you enjoying Wisconsin's fans just going crying out how bad their team is? Because I'm enjoying it. I'm getting a lot of.
I don't really pay much attention to opposing fan bases from that perspective, but I will say, I have I heard some people a couple weeks ago after last week, Iowa beat them badly, and there were some people on my show that basically said, I kind of felt sorry for them, and my response to that is, I don't feel sorry for them. This is Wisconsin. This is a team that stood in the way of Iowa for years.
No, they were the big fish in a little pond in the West for the whole entire time.
Yeah. And Iowa and Northwestern had their time each beating up on them a little bit, but not much. And I will say this too. I saw, we haven't talked about this yet, Mark, but there was a article that came out. I think it was like MadisonLive.com, got some comments from players anonymously that basically said that they've been told that Luke Fickell is going to be retained past this season. And that's amazing.
Yeah, their
That's
AD put out a letter.
true.
I think their AD put out a letter yesterday saying that he's not going to fire him.
Okay.
So most likely the AD will be, and him and the AD will be gone next year if that's the case.
Well, that might be the opportunity if they can try to poach Matt Campbell and Iowa State's AD Jamie Pollard. That might be the time to do it. See if you can get both those guys to go over to Wisconsin. Maybe I don't know how close Campbell is with Pollard, but that would be motivation, right? To maybe leave your job as if you can get your boss to go with you. So anyways,
Wow.
All right, Mark, Dave, I'll probably chat with you later in the week. I'll see you in the comments. We'll talk to you Saturday.
All right.
Thanks,
See you
Corey.
later. See you later, Court.
All right, Dave, anything else?
Oh, wow. Nothing really. I just feel that Iowa is like great defense. Like it's the same old, same old. They're really good defensively. If we can move the ball with our offense and at least get a couple touchdowns, I think our goal is to probably score first and let them just basically trail us the whole entire time. I think that would be great.
Yeah, I told Corey last hour, you may have heard it, that he asked me for the key to the game. And I think that, of course, Minnesota's defense, and especially containing Gronowski on the ground, is going to be big. So all the matchups are big. But if you could pinpoint one, I think I got a pretty good gauge on. I don't see, because Iowa just doesn't have the weapons. They don't have a prolific offense, that they can only score so many points against anybody. And Minnesota's got a good defense, not as good as I think they've had the last 5 or 6 years.
No.
So I think it's more about Darius Taylor and the offensive line. I know how good Darius Taylor is. I think it's about the offensive line for Minnesota against Iowa's defensive front. If they can hold their own and he can run for 80 or 90 yards, something like that, I think Minnesota's got a good shot.
Yeah, if he runs for like 100 yards, and they'll definitely have a good shot, and especially if they can use him in the backfield for passing games, because he's always a big part of the passing attack too. So, I really feel that if we do that, and keep giving it to them, basically it's going to be a game in the trenches. That's how it's always been. It's always been a game in the trenches for both sides.
Yep.
Who wins the trenches wins this game. That's pretty much all I have to say now.
All right. It should be interesting.
All right. See you later, Mark.
Thanks, man.
Bye-bye.
Minnesota Dave getting the job done, of course. We are, for the most part, even though my last 2 weeks have not been sterling, I'm a bit testy after I missed predictions by a half a point like I did 3 times last week. But 85-61 against the spread still gets the job done. And 146-38, that's the money line record. Did not do the percentages on 146-38. That looks like it's basically 14-3. So that's about 80 some percent. 85-61, 8-6 is like 57%. So it's a little bit better than that. So about 58% against the spread. Like to get that up to 60% against the spread is the goal. So you can get it on Patreon. So you can be a YouTube premium member right here on the main channel. You can get the top tier here and get the picks. Or a lot of people have opted to go to Patreon and you can just check out the picks for a week. You don't have to sub for the entire month over on patreon.com. And I don't know the best way to look that up, if it's Voice of College Football or it's Mark Rogers TV, because that used to be the deal, obviously, here Mark Rogers TV. So it's patreon.com/Mark Rogers TV. And you get my picks. You can pick up Corey's picks, Matt Zemek's picks, Steve Dace's predictions for a 12-pack. So that's 36 picks out of those guys, my picks. And then the Steve Merrill pick, which is 6-2 against the spread, his under-the-radar selection, which, again, I'm not going to say it always hits because he's human, but 6-2 and 34-14 since he started. Adam's checking in on this one. Good to see Adam here. Thank you for the contribution, sir. Mark Padcraft is a bully. He's a disgrace. Now Penn State has no coach and has lost top recruits, and the available candidates have no chance of making Penn State into a contender. Will you condemn Kraft on this show? I will not condemn Kraft because, first of all, I would have to do a bit of a deep dive on it to I am not negligent in that way. When I have a strong opinion, especially a negative opinion, then I need to do my due diligence. But, and I know you're joking, Adam, he fired James Franklin. Isn't that what everyone expected? Isn't that what everyone thought was the best outcome? Even if you think if James Franklin did a good job at Penn State, which I do generally think that he did a good job, not a great job, a good job at Penn State. Sometimes you can have somebody who did a good job. You can have somebody who is capable of doing a good job in the same job, the same position, the same role elsewhere, but it just doesn't fit now. So that time has come. How many coaches across college football have been in their good job longer than James Franklin? I think it's just Kirk Ferentz, Dabo Swinney. That's it. He was the third longest tenured coach in college football. So now Kirk Ferentz is on his 1999-27 season at Iowa, and at Dabo Swinney, I believe 2010. So this is his 16th season at Clemson. Yeah, those are the two obvious guys. Nobody else has been around that long by any stretch. Matt Campbell's got a nice 10 years going at Iowa State, close to it, and PJ Fleck had 8 years at Minnesota, but there are not many coaches who have been around for long. It's just not a long tenured sport. And just go from team to team through any conference, but especially, let's say, the ACC or the Big 12. Of course, Mike Gundy, he would be the other guy that was just canned, who was around forever, 21 years at Oklahoma State. So again, get my picks on Patreon. Let's look at the Big Ten schedule for week 9. I never know if it's week 9, week 8. It doesn't matter. Whatever it is, we will see here in a second. It's apparently week 9. Yes. Saturday, October 25th. UCLA at Indiana. The Hoosiers are obviously playing out of their minds. They're coming off a big win against Michigan State. They trailed briefly in that game, kind of reminiscent of their trip to East Lansing last year. They went up there, and I think they were down 10-0. They were down 10-7, and then just ripped the doors off, and that was a runaway. And Indiana's the team that, outside of a pretty shaky performance at Iowa, they've played about as complete a football as anyone, and obviously have the huge win against Oregon and the huge win from a point spread standpoint against Illinois, who's a good football team. UCLA at Indiana, but I'm intrigued by the Bruins. I wish that they were playing a more winnable game. Wish that they were playing Nebraska or Rutgers, Purdue, somebody else, to see if this UCLA fairy tale could continue with 3 consecutive wins in the Big Ten. They're 3-1 in the Big Ten. Nico Iamaleava is not going to be able to throw the kind of pick that he did this week, like he did last week. It's one of the worst interceptions of the season. He threw an interception to a defender at the 2-yard line. He was standing basically at the goal line and threw an out where he was not paying attention. I think he just assumed his back was going to take a quick cut and you could just toss it out to him. Nope. Somebody broke on the football and picked it off and basically was standing in the end zone, practically, a Maryland player. But UCLA pulled it off against Maryland in the final 3 minutes last week at the Rose Bowl. Now they come cross country. So not expected to be a big game, but Fox is going to be there for the big Indiana-UCLA showdown. And again, ignore the UCLA out-of-conference record, and this is actually Indiana 3-0 in the Big Ten. UCLA 3-1 in the Big Ten. This is for the Big Ten lead. Well, Ohio State would still have the lead, but you get my point. Northwestern is also 3-1 in the Big Ten. They go to Nebraska. Nebraska looked awful on Friday night against Minnesota. And so Nebraska is a strong favorite in this game on FS1 at noon Eastern time. But Northwestern's the team with the better Big Ten record. Rutgers at Purdue, a couple also rans, just basically playing out the string. Rutgers has lost some close games, and then they got their doors blown off by Oregon by 46 points. I've got a buddy who I used to work with at ESPN who was posting his trip down to Piscataway to check out his beloved Ducks at Purdue. Purdue, very oddly, after outplaying Minnesota on the road, should have won that game against a much better team, gets shut out by Northwestern. 19-0. All right, one of the better games in the conference, Illinois at Washington. This is kind of a last-ditch effort by both of these teams to make the college football playoff, both sitting at 5-2. So this is going to be interesting. And with that, since we don't have any further calls, and I do have a personal call, I might as well get back to that since we got no calls on the line. I'm going to be back at 10 p.m. Eastern time anyway, and we will see you then. I've got a Florida State show starting in about 13 minutes right here at the Voice of College Football as well, so we will see you then.